Yes. Hello, everyone. Ooh, I meant to actually close those.
Well, you did.
Please let me know if you can hear me. I know we had kind of a disaster last week, so hopefully it should be working. Welcome to Sex with Robin on Split Radio. Yeah, thank you. Because there's actually blinds behind here, and usually
you'd want, like, natural light.
You'd think so, but we are so fucking pasty white that when we do have natural light on us and the camera's there,
we look like ghosts.
We look like the moon. Like we just reflect all that light. So oddly enough, with our skin tone, lots and lots of lights actually don't go well.
So here's my question: can you hear me? Because I'm not wearing the headphones that have the mic on them. So.
I could turn it so that the side with the mic is on your side.
Okay.
So welcome. We haven't even done the intro. Well, we did the intro song. Welcome to Sex with Robin on Split Radio, where we talk sex, kink, dating, any and all of that good shit. And today's topic is going to be Femme Tops and Masc bottoms, specifically in more of a BDSM kind of dynamic. I want to talk about how that's kind of represented in the media and how that affects public cultural perspective of femme tops and masc bottoms. But before we get into that, my name is Robin Beach. I use she, her pronouns. I am a former stripper, former pro-dom, former nurse with experience in cardiology, psychology, and sexual health. And now I am a sex and relationship educator / coach / consultant, dabbling in all the little things, and host of the show Sex with Robin on Split Radio that it airs right after Mandy's show, The Many Loves Lunch Hour with Mandy, that is primarily about non-monogamy. This is Brandon. Would you like to introduce yourself? My husband, co-parent, best friend, roommate.
I'm Brandon. I use he, him pronouns. I've been kinky and in like the kink scene and the polyamory community for, I don't know, like 15 years or something like that.
At least.
Don't have the formal education that Robin has, but I have a lot of experience and yeah.
If people can hear. Hi, Peter. This has we got an I hear ya. Good comments. I can hear him. Good. And good afternoon. I always get that good afternoon because it is here. It is 10 a.m. Pacific time. I am located on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded, which is really needs to be emphasized, is the unceded territories of the Coast Salish and Musqueam Indigenous tribes, colonially known as Vancouver, Canada. But I do know there are people that watch in many different time zones. So good afternoon to you, and if it is morning, good morning.
Technically speaking, BC shouldn't be part of Canada. It's native land.
Unceded, yeah, meaning there were no like treaties or agreements, and I use quotations because obviously
but unceded land basically means that it's native land. It shouldn't actually be part of Canada.
It's very stolen land. I mean, all of the land was stolen. That's why I had quotations on the agreements. Anyway. All stolen, but anyways. So I think I did all the intros. I do this show live every Monday from at like 10 a.m. PST or 1 p.m. EST every Monday live, and then afterwards it stays on YouTube. So there's the YouTube live on YouTube and Facebook, but it kind of is. It's just kept automatically safe on YouTube, and I release the audio on SoundCloud and Spotify. Please let me know if there's any other platforms that you want, or because that's why I started doing the Spotify thing. People were like, I want to be able to listen later. I just want like podcast style.
Yeah.
So let me know, and your feedback is always so appreciated. Having said that, in terms of like commenting, you don't have to agree with what I'm saying. Like, I want to hear what you have to say, as long as everyone is being kind.
Yeah, you have to agree with what I say, though.
No, shut up. So okay, let's get into into the topic. And I'm really glad you're here. Not great that you have to be here, but I know I love it when you're here, and people are constantly saying they love when you're on the show because we have very different perspectives.
Yeah.
And we know each other, so the banter is great, which it is totally banter. We can be really mean to each other, what looks like it's mean, but we're both kind of jerks to each other, and it's just
Yeah, we
it's
have
just
that
what we do.
relationship where you
That's our
laugh at the other person's pain before you before you help them, kind of thing. That's our relationship. So yeah,
But we
more
love,
than once.
yeah. Oh, we got a comment here from Mandy. We adore Brandon. I know, and I'm always like, Brandon, come on the show, and he's like, he's really shy and introverted.
I'm
But
introverted. I'm not that shy.
fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
There's a difference.
Okay, so I'm glad you could be here again. Thank you. And I was excited that you pulled the couch.
Yeah, I know.
So I think this is a great idea. Just having the couch instead of worrying about our rolling chairs.
Yeah. I started moving the chairs out of the way while she was setting up. She's like, but I want that chair. And then I started moving the couch and she forgot that we did it last time. She got like really excited that I was moving the couch again.
Like way too excited.
Yeah, like it was silly.
It's ADHD brain, okay? That's what I blame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew she would forget, so I just started doing it because I knew it would make her excited.
So, thank you.
Yeah.
So, Femme Tops, Masc bottoms. And I'm kind of using tops and bottoms
interchangeably.
A little bit interchangeably with, yes, a little bit interchangeably with dominance and submission, just for the sake of the conversation, because we know it's a lot more complicated than that. But that's kind of the point. But in a lot of media and societal expectation dictates, the man or the mask person is the dominant one and in charge. And that's just a cultural thing. Look at the Bible, look at all this other stuff that we've had in when I say our culture, I mean Western culture for a very, very, very long time.
Western and European culture.
Yeah. And that's not reality, obviously. There are men or like masked folks that are bottoms or like to bottom or be submissive. And there are women or femmes that like to talk. Like, it seems obvious to me, but
people are people. There's no you're supposed to be anything. So like the whole like idea that the man is supposed to be, that's patriarchy, that's bullshit. And like there's just as many men that want to bottom as there are men that want, well, not men that want to top, but like there's just as many men that want to bottom as there are women that want to bottom, and vice versa, right?
Yeah.
Like the problem is societal expectations and the way we treat men that bottom. So it's a lot harder.
Yeah. So we've established that it's normal.
Yeah.
It's kind of just an individual thing. Gender doesn't really have anything to do with usually whether you want to be a top or a bottom. Like dominance and submission aren't gendered. So we've established that now, like to go forward. But hang on, there's a comment. I know it's Mandy. She says, let me see those eyebrows, Robin. I got to show you. And this is a joke about on her show, which is the hour beforehand on the Many Loves Lunch Hour. I always do my makeup while watching and listening. And she was so fucking funny today. I just couldn't stop laughing. And it was a really great show. And I commented, I was like, by the way, you're messing up my makeup because you're making me laugh so much. And then I was like, now he's looking at my eyebrows. And I made the joke. I'm like, if I look concerned, it's just that I fucked up my eyebrows and they're not even.
You're a goner.
So do I look? So I've got one eyebrow up. Oh, no, I can't do it.
I don't know. This one does. No, this one does look like it's a little higher on this side. You kind of got the.
Am I inquisitive or did I just fuck up my eyebrows? So can't say.
Yeah. We'll get to switching.
Yeah. I got a comment.
We'll get to that, but
we'll talk about
that's
switching.
Not where we're starting. But yeah, I'm a switch too. So
I'm a switch. Brandon is a switch, and there's definitely issues around how switches are treated. Like that I'm not
Yeah.
dominant enough.
Well,
Or I'm not.
it's the same. It's very similar to how bisexual people are treated in that, like, you're either you're not gay enough, or you're not straight enough, or you're just pretending, or
Yeah.
you're just greedy, or like all these other stereotypes to do with it. There's a lot of like erasure and that kind of stuff, and it happens in the BDSM community too with switches,
Mhm.
right? Like, you just can't pick your role or whatever. So that's an issue too, but that's not specifically what
Yeah.
we're talking about today.
No, I did. I had a really great conversation on Friday evening, and I got distracted thinking about Friday evening and the things that we did instead of the conversations we were having just now. I lost my train of thought. Okay, the ADHD
Good
apparently is
job.
really strong today.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was a comment about like, oh, if people know you're bisexual, they'll think that you're a slut or you're asleep with anyone. And I was like, I want to even push that harder. And obviously, not all people that are bi or pan or that are switches or sluts. I am pan and I am a total slut.
Yeah.
That still doesn't mean I'm going to have sex with you.
Yeah.
Even if I'm a total slut and I say I'm attracted to like most people, even if I'm attracted to you and I'm a total slut, that doesn't mean I'm going to have sex with you necessarily. So
Yeah.
like that was, and he was like, whoa, totally. Like, whoa. And I'm like, yeah, there you go. So
Okay.
anyways, my little rant. I'll step down off my little box and then we can talk more about the mask bottoms.
So, like, okay, so stereotypes first. Um, I mean, there's the stereotype of, like, the femme top and the mask bottom, and like the dominatrix is all in leather, and like the bottom is really like portrayed as like, I want to I hate to like, but typically they're portrayed as very pathetic, and they're demeaned quite a bit, and it's a lot of it is really demeaning, because society in general tends to view men are supposed to be strong and alpha, and if you're not that, then you're viewed as pathetic and weak. And it's a really big problem, because especially when we're talking about women as submissives, we always talk about how there's so much strength in submission and vulnerability. You have to be strong to be vulnerable, and all that stuff, right? And it's true. It's absolutely true, but it's true for men too, especially for men sometimes, because of the way society treats men. So it's very difficult to, especially someone that's a switch or has started in the scene as a dominant person, to then go, I also want to bottom, because the other dominant men are going to start looking at you differently. Or, I've had friends that are submissive bottoms, and people just treat them like shit, even if they're not, they don't have a dynamic, even if they're like other males that even aren't even necessarily dominant men. They just treat other male bottoms like crap.
Yeah.
Like they can be walked on, like they're doormats or whatever. And I like, most of the submissive men that I know are actually very strong people, and it's really frustrating that that's a stereotype and that's how they're treated.
What Peter said.
Yeah.
Peter just commented, preach it, Brandon.
So that's my rant for today, I guess.
Yeah. No, that was incredible. That was perfect. And yeah, I've seen, at least when I had a slave, people would ask him to do things or tell him to do things.
Oh yeah,
the time.
People will just assume that because you're a submissive man that they can just ask you to do stuff for them. And that you're gonna obviously you're gonna say, yes, you're submissive, I should just be able to tell you whatever you want. And like, we don't accept that for submissive women, because of the like level of abuse and degradation that involves. But we just assume that with men, because gender roles.
Yeah. What I ended up doing was I sent out a very assertive email that was like
strongly
a
worded
very
email.
strongly worded email. That's what Canadians typically do when we're really angry. We write an angry letter. I'm all for that.
Yeah.
But I did. It wasn't an angry letter. It was a very strongly worded letter that said, my slave, not your slave, not MVK's slave, mine. If you, and I said in the letter, if you want him to do something, or if you ask him to do something, I've instructed him to refer you to me. And then and then we're at the meeting, and I think Sarah's like, her letter was so hot.
Yeah.
But and yeah, Victor's like, but yeah, it's funny because they were just like, I think Sarah in particular was like, that was hot. Yeah. And I'm like trying not to blush now. But
it's funny, but it's true.
It's true. But and it was important for me to specifically say to my partner, my slave, like, if someone asks you to do something, you send them to me. It gives them permission to say no in a way that they can. But yeah, not submissive to everyone. Great comment.
Yeah.
But anyways, and the other thing I did, I made a vest with like patches, like service dog that's like, don't pet me, I'm working.
Yeah.
And don't,
not friendly.
Not
or whatever.
Or it was like in training and like, don't pet me, I'm working.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Don't distract me, like those dog kind of patches.
Yeah.
And I thought that was cute. But anyways, I've heard that same thing from so many other masc bottoms that it's assumed they're just submissive to everyone.
Yeah.
I've got a question here. Question, do you switch together? I can't switch with the same partner. It is either I am topping or I am bottoming to different folks. I'll start off and say, first of all, we don't really play together anymore.
We have, though. We have switched together.
But we have switched together.
Yeah. It was more it was kind of interesting because it was more that our dynamic changed more than we switched with each other.
Yeah, we just kind of tried to go along with our dynamic.
Yeah, and then it just kind of fell apart. But anyway.
It did not fall apart.
No, but our dynamic, it kind of like switched and then
it transitioned.
It transitioned and then it didn't work that way anymore. I don't know. What do you want to call it?
We transitioned. We don't really play anymore.
Yeah.
But we talk about play and I don't know.
Everyone is different with switching. Some people, like, especially if they're kind of bratty, if you have like two bratty switches, they have a lot of fun like fighting for dominance and stuff like that. That's absolutely a valid way to do things. I'm more into like good girl, good boy kind of dynamics. Like I want it to be like consensual and like I want to follow directions and give directions that are followed. So typically with me, I have had partners that I've switched with, but it doesn't work well for me. I would much prefer to have like this dynamic is I am the dominant and they are the submissive, and this dynamic with this other person is I am submissive and they are dominant. And that way, my brain works really well when I know what the rules and the expectations are. So it helps me to know that so that I can go into that date or that play session knowing what the energy is going to be. When you're switching together, sometimes you'll like have been talking about like, I really need to bottom. Can I come over and do the thing? And then you go over and they're like, I don't really have bottom energy or top energy today. Can I bottom instead? And then you're just like, but okay, I guess. And then that just throws the whole thing off. And I don't want to top right now because I've been bottoming. And then what do you do together? So if you are going to switch with the same person, it requires a lot of communication and you have to stick with what you're saying. You can't flip-flop all the time because it's really hard on the other person when you just switch up your energy. But that's also not to say that, like, you know, if you agreed to top and then they get there and you're like, I actually can't do that, that you can't say that. It's just really hard to then expect them to top you because
you explain that so well. Like I can't follow that.
Huh? You can't follow it? You didn't understand what I said?
No. As in, like, I can't speak after that because you performed. Like, I can't follow that performance. I can't follow that speech.
Okay.
Not, I didn't follow. I didn't understand. Yeah. More like, damn, that was really good. I can't follow that.
Okay.
I find typically it works best for me when I have one dynamic with one person.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I'm definitely open to switching with a partner, and I've done it, but it's a total mind fuck. Like it's fun, but it's a mind fuck, and I think it depends on the person. It depends on the dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
I typically, yeah, because you can't force something. Um,
Yeah.
I'll say real quick. I've had scenes with a a partner that was also a switch, but they were dominant to me. And I'm not submissive, y'all know that, but it was like, this is our relationship. I'd like to be brought to a place of submission. And we'd go to an event together, and I'd go and I'd have like a scene where I'd top, and then my partner would top me afterwards. And we noticed a really interesting pattern that we'd start playing, and it'd be really hard to get me to that place because I'd be in such top high energy that they'd, try to hurt me, and I'd kind of resist or like growl more or be like really, really, really resisting the pain. And I'd struggle to get to that space. But then when I did, it was like, oh, I would just drop so hard to that bottom space and just turn into like a total puddle. So it was cool, but it was a lot.
Yeah.
That's a little story. Some comments here. I have only one partner that I can switch with. It's mostly separate people for me.
Mm-hmm.
Fair. I am the same. I compartmentalize my switching.
Yeah. So we should probably try and get back
Yes,
to
back to the topic. Thank
the
you,
topic
Brendan.
at hand,
I just want to answer
this
these.
wasn't meant to be about switching.
Yes, we'll get back to it. I just want to answer these. I have a partner that tops me 99.9% of the time, and sometimes he instructs me to top him, so I'm topping my submission. You can explain that quickly.
That's service topping. You're still in the submissive role. A lot of people that are dominants are also masochists, and they want to be hurt, but that doesn't mean that they're submitting during the scene. They're still in control of the scene, and they're still requesting the play, and they're still so that's still that doesn't play with the DS dynamic, but that changes who's topping. We're mostly using topping because it doesn't assume a DS role necessarily, but it can go either way.
And I think this is M. She put a little M right after that, but it says I'm either D type headspace or S type headspace. Yeah, because it's hard to force something. Okay, let's get back to the topic of. Okay, I did want to back to the topic of mask bottoms and femme tops, and I have a workshop about it, specifically about femme dominance.
Dominant female.
Dominant femmes or dominant people on the female spectrum, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably should have like screen capped some of these so I could share the screen, but I'm not that young. I'm old, and I got pictures that I'm going to show to the camera.
Well, you have these references that you take for your classes.
These are for my classes.
Honestly, you should probably put them on a slideshow.
I should.
Because you have a projector.
I know. I should have that somewhere. It's been so long since I've done this, since before COVID. But basically, I have a bunch of pictures of depictions of femme tops in media, and I'll describe them real quick and just show you. I won't torture you too much. This is Lucy Liu in Charlie's Angels from 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Very slim, very femme, wearing this all rubber kind of dress, and she has leather. A riding crop, or is it leather?
That's leather.
Oh, it's leather.
Yeah.
Same thing. What's this? We got Euro Trip 2004.
That's latex.
That's latex, and she's wearing like a collar.
She's wearing a
lock on her neck.
Yeah, the lock makes it submissive, but you can wear a collar as a top.
Yeah, you can. It's just one of those things I see a lot.
Yeah.
We got the Wolf of Wall Street reference, 2013. That's Leo.
It's really hard to see.
It is really hard to see. I'm sorry, because I laminated it.
Yeah, and
it's a really pro-dom scene, and this is kind of what I'm getting to. I'll get to it real quick. We got Tomcats, 2001, kind of an older granny type, but I love the leather hat. That's hot. And she's got her outfit. It's basically leather straps and clasps and such. Same movie, Tomcats, 2001. You see a lot. This is the second redhead we've seen. Yeah. A redheaded. They're all I would say
Because
pale skin.
redheads
They're all
are
white
fiery.
except for Lucy Liu, right? And I'm not even gonna. Oh, your last one, CSI Lady Heather, 2001, 2015, also a redhead, wearing like a choker and red and black. It's all red and black.
The hypersexualization of redheads is a whole other topic.
That's a whole.
Yeah.
But these are all thin, conventionally attractive, fair-skinned, all white except for Lucy Liu, wearing black or red tight, either leather or rubber, and it's just all of those scenes, except for I would argue the CSI one, are meant to be a punchline.
Yeah, the CSI one was actually really well done.
See, I've heard, I haven't seen all of it, but I've heard and I've seen a few clips and I've been meaning to check it out. But the other ones are all meant as punchlines. That it's funny that not only you have a mask being beaten up and humiliated, that's hilarious that he likes that. And then you've got the femme top who are often white, thin, conventionally attractive, very femme, but also like you see them barking insults like all the time. You don't see a lot of like sensual nature or anything like that, which is like if you're into that, that's cool. But every single depiction is going to be barking, humiliation, barking orders, being particularly aggressive,
treating men like trash.
And treating men like trash, and also so extreme to the point where it's kind of a punchline.
Yeah, or like there's that one in Eurotrip where like the safe word is like some Germanic word that he can't say because it's like 7 syllables, and they ignore him when he's trying to say it. Like shit like that in media is really common, and it's super problematic. And it's part of the reason why in the kink scene and stuff that's an issue, because that's the only way it's ever portrayed. There's no caring dominant women. There's no strong masculine bottoms. That just doesn't really happen, with the exception of like 1 or 2 shows. There was that one where the college student Bonded, yeah. The mistress that she's learning from has a really strong masculine bottom. It's really cool.
Yeah, I've been thinking more about like doing more videos on shows like Bonded and Sex Education, like talking about reviewing what's real, what's more realistic and what's not, and maybe what's problematic. But anyways, yeah, Bonded was interesting. That's a whole other thing. But
yeah, but it did. The black dominant woman that she was learning from was a really excellent dominatrix. She was a really excellent dominatrix, and she had a really strong male submissive. So that was a really good dynamic. That was one of the better parts of the show.
I think that was the next season. You can tell they improved a lot. I think they listened to a lot of the criticism.
They got a lot of feedback after the first season,
and you can tell they listened to the feedback. The second season is much, much, much better.
Yeah.
Peter's got a great comment here. Also, professional dominatrixes. Oh my God, try to say that 5 times fast. Dominatrixes, also known as prodoms, are far more common in mainstream media than non-professional.
Yeah. Sex work. It's one of the only places to find a dominant woman. It's hard to find a dominant female partner that isn't doing pro work, because because it's a really good way to make money, and so many men are looking for that, and they're willing to pay for it. So there are definitely women that do it that don't want to get into pro work, and that's great. I wish there were more of those, but there are a lot of women that go into pro work once they get into domination, because it's I mean, I'm not saying it's not a lot of work. It absolutely is. It's an insane amount of work, and anybody that says that it's easy money is lying to you. But it can be a lot of money if you do the job well, and you know how to market yourself and all that stuff.
If you're interested, contact me. I do coaching and mentoring for prodoms, and I know others that do as well. So. Mandy just commented at Peter, so to his comment, because strong non-professional women are looked at as just being controlling and bitchy.
Yeah.
LOL, yeah.
A lot of the time, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, but also it's just really not common to have male top, female bottom, or other way around, female bottom, male. What am I doing?
Well, I don't know. Where are you going?
It's really not common to have a female top, male bottom relationship portrayed in media. It's just not very common.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times you find that with professionals because they have to interact with the story in some way, right?
I'm writing this down. Thank you, Peter. As always, you're awesome. Peter comments, the Korean film Love and Leashes is a rare exception by showing non-pro dom who is caring and a strong male sub. I'm writing this down.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm the person that writes things down.
Yeah, we know it was you, Mandy.
We know it was you, Mandy. Thank you for that. I'll have to check it out. So there's a lot, obviously, that is not being depicted well in media.
Mm-hmm.
It's really frustrating. And I am encouraged when I see things like the show Bonded, where you can tell that the feedback is working,
Mm-hmm.
that people are saying something. And and the same with sex education. You can tell they meant it to be really progressive, but some of the things were like, and people spoke out. And then I think each season of sex education also gets better because it's obvious that they're listening to the audience and listening for what people are saying.
Yeah, it also makes good character growth and stuff like that.
But that's kind of the point I'm getting to, is that it does help when you speak out about certain things, when you reflect and respond and give reviews. Especially, I'm going to say, especially online. This is just my kind of 2 cents, but I've noticed writing an angry letter, a strongly worded letter, works more now that you can post about it.
And other people can see it
and other people can see it, and you can tag the company or you can tag
in tweets and stuff.
And tweet. It works. I've written so many letters to Greyhound that they didn't respond to, and one time I tweeted them in it, and then I tweeted their email response, and I got all the shit I needed.
Yeah. Because their public relations people are on it, whereas their customer service is not.
Yeah. And yeah. What about because I'm actually really into the show The Boys lately, because 3rd season's coming out, and there's a lot of sexual stuff in there,
Mm-hmm.
and dominant sexual females, and submissive kind of mask characters. Oh, I don't want to give away spoilers, but
no, but like Starlight and Huey, like they're not top and bottom though. They have a mutual relationship. She's just so much stronger than him, but he struggles with that too, right? Like he has a hard time feeling like he can't help her.
Oh yeah, that's more of a relationship thing. I was thinking of like Homelander and the breast milk.
Oh, Homelander's just a whole pile of fucked
He's
up.
not submissive. He's just fucking like.
No, he's not submissive in any way. He's a malignant narcissist.
Okay, bad example. Maybe that's a whole other conversation.
That is a whole. He is a monster.
Such a good show.
Everything
I just
about
want to
him
talk
is
about
fucked
it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about reality then, away from media depictions.
Okay.
Obviously, we're pointing out how the reality is false.
The media portrayal
The
is
media
false.
portrayals are false.
Yeah.
So
they're a stereotype. I mean, that does exist, but it's not the only thing that exists. That's the problem with like media portrayals a lot of the time, is they will just show you the stereotype when there's a whole range of things out there, right? You know, there are really interesting dynamics with like daddy little girl relationships where the little girl is the dominant and the daddy does everything that he can to provide for the little girl. And there are like pet play relationships where like the pet is like, I'm a bulldog and I'm going to defend you from everything, And there are like
I want one.
there are a lot of relationships where the male bottom is very strong in their submission. And it doesn't I don't know why all of the portrayals and stereotypes focus around male degradation. So much of it is like sissification, which is a really messed up thing for like to view sissification as degradation, you have to view women as less than men,
I've
which is
talked
a
about this
big
before.
fucking problem.
It's there's a lot of problematic
Yeah.
kinks, and at least my approach to it, because especially as a former pro dom, that's a huge request. It is a common request that I would get as a pro dom is for
Yeah.
sissification and humiliation, feminization
Well,
kind of thing. But
it's
my approach, hang on, my approach is as long as you can recognize that it is problematic, you can play with it. My 2 cents.
it's the patriarchy in our culture that tells men that they're not allowed to be feminine and they're not allowed to have feminine things or portray femininity. So being forced to do that for a lot of people is freeing of that dynamic sometimes, but it's also problematic because it does necessitate a view that femininity is less than masculinity. So it's a whole thing. Sometimes I like to wear feminine clothes, but I don't. They're what was it, Izzy Izzard or something like that? I can't. He was like, it's not women's clothing, it's my clothing, right? Like it's my dress. It's not a woman's dress. It's mine, and I'm wearing it, right? But
yeah,
I mean, they eventually transitioned.
that happened
so maybe
no,
that's
not because like with Dexter, our eldest child, he's 8. He was in, I want to say preschool. He had to have been 3 or 4 years old, 4, and he was wearing a dress. Dexter likes wearing, especially in his preschool years. He loved wearing dresses.
He doesn't have any now, actually.
But yeah.
We need to take him to Valley Village.
Anyways, he has worn less now that he's a little bit older and societal stuff. And he even says, I don't think the kids at my school are ready for that. So, but anyways,
he's very smart.
He's really smart. When he was in preschool, he was wearing a dress, and I heard a little kid say to their mom, "Mommy, that boy's wearing a dress." And he said, "It's not, or no, that boy's wearing a girl's dress, or why are you wearing a girl's dress?" That's what it was. And he was like, "It's not a girl's dress, it's my dress." And I was like, I'm so proud of you. But that's just it. And when you've worn a dress, we worn a dress to an event once, and I get that people are trying to be respectful. It's totally good to ask, but people came up to you and asked what pronouns they should use, or if you had a name. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
I mean, it's good to ask. I mean, a lot of people when they are wearing cross-gendered clothing will take on a persona and they want to use different pronouns and have a different name and that kind of stuff. And I don't do that personally. So when people asked, I was like, no, I'm just me. I'm just in a dress today.
Yeah.
And that's normal for me sometimes.
Still Brandon, still he, him, still a man. No less of a man for wearing a dress.
Yeah.
You just like wearing dresses sometimes. Yeah. And that, I think that was like the first time people had really seen you.
Yeah, I don't wear dresses out very often.
No.
I don't own a lot of dresses. It was actually interesting.
Got the quote.
They're not women's clothes.
Thank you.
They're my clothes. I bought them, Eddie Izzard.
By Eddie Izzard. Thank you for that. And Christy has a comment here. My 17-year-old son loves skirts. He says it isn't about gender at all. He just loves them. I love this conversation.
And it's funny because a lot of people that like wearing, a lot of masculine people that like wearing skirts will go out and buy kilts because that's okay because it's
more socially acceptable.
It's more socially acceptable just because it's pleated and you call it a kilt. It's not a skirt anymore, so it's okay.
Still like the same thing.
Yeah. And
then I'm pretty sure this is Mandy. Free the balls.
terrible.
I don't have balls, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah. Oh, what was I gonna say now? Yeah, it's gone.
And yeah, it is difficult in the scene sometimes to be taken seriously if you are a mask bottom or a femme top.
Yeah, femtops run into a lot of issues with people telling them they're doing it wrong, and like men feeling entitled to like correct them in the middle of a scene.
Yeah.
Like, and just being like, I've heard so many times people complain about like male tops being like, oh, you just haven't met the right dominant. That's so fucking toxic. That's insane that any man would feel confident to say something that misogynistic is insane to me now. We should be doing better than that at this point.
Yeah. I started out just bottoming, and
As a lot of people do.
as a lot of people do. And so that doesn't mean that if somebody who's new is just bottoming and you're going to be like, oh, well, you just wait.
No.
Like, don't assume shit about other people, okay? That's their journey. It's not your job to know what's going to happen. Just like with my kids, when people have been like, oh, you know, your kid's going to be gay or trans or whatever. And I'm like, that's not my job to know. It's my job to be supportive and let him figure that shit out.
Of the choices that they make.
I'm not trying to speculate what's going to happen. Just let him be him. And if that changes, that changes. And I support him. It's not my job to figure that shit out. So stop speculating what people are going to become or who they're going to be. That's just a pet peeve of mine. But
for sure,
I did a lot of topping in private before I topped in public.
Yeah.
It was a long time before I felt comfortable, and even then I was terrified of topping in public because I knew that people, it's funny to say this because now few people have seen me bottom. And back then it was like the opposite, like no one had ever seen me top. And so people knew me then in the scene, in the community, as someone who bottomed. A lot of people didn't know I topped or they'd never seen me top. So I was really nervous to do it because I was waiting for men to maybe be looking at me and scoff or laugh, or I was worried for
judge or correct.
Or yeah, I was worried it'd be kind of a concept. I'm like, oh, look at Robin,
look
topping.
At the little bottom topping.
Exactly, and that I was so nervous, and I intentionally, and this person that I played with knew that that's what I was nervous about. He was a very, very heavy and very loud bottom that liked to scream, and I liked to keep going, and he loved it. So we played pretty heavily, and if anything, it looked and sounded heavier than it actually was because he was so loud, and he's a very strong kind of mask person. He is very mask presenting, and when he's yelling, it's like manly yelling.
Manly yelling.
If that makes any sense.
I hate that, but okay.
I hate, yeah, you know what I hate saying that, but it's very it was very deep, growly yelling that sounded very, very strong. So maybe I shouldn't call it manly is bad, but you know what I mean. No. I don't know what a better way to say that is.
Yeah, unfortunately, everyone knows what you mean when you say that.
Unfortunately, everyone knows what I mean when I say that.
Yeah.
But anyways, and he knew that I was nervous, and so, and he was like, no, this would be great because too many people stop when I start yelling and crying because I'm really loud, and too many people stop. He's like, but I know you don't, you keep going. So we played in public, and I was so scared. I was so nervous, and I tried really hard not to look at everyone around me because I didn't want to see if anyone was scoffing or laughing or going like, oh, look at Robin, she's stopping. It's so cute. So I specifically tried really hard to just focus on my partner and not see what anyone else was doing. And then, clean up my stuff, still not looking at anyone, we go do our aftercare, and then we go our separate ways. And I was still at the party, and men and masked folks started coming up to me and saying, I didn't know you could top. And like that, thank you for that. That was a really fun scene to watch, and gave me compliments. And I was actually not expecting that. I was like honestly expecting the absolute worst. And so I was really thankful that I didn't get that response. and I got a lot of positivity from the Mask Tops
Yeah.
at the event, which I was really, really, really thankful for. And I found it encouraging. And I was like, sweet. I feel like I am being taken seriously as a top.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a long time before I played in public as a top because I was worried.
I feel like that's not uncommon for female tops that start off as bottoms. But also, the opposite is true for men. Men come into the scene and want to be tops. I say men, but I mean like mass
Yeah.
presenting people. Um, Mass presenting people come into the scene as tops, and then they realize there's switches and they want to try some stuff, but they'll only do it in private because they don't want people to look down on them.
Yeah.
Because they're bottoming, because other, like alpha men will look at you differently if you bottom, even if you are top, even if you top most of the time, or you're dominant, or even if you're just bottoming and maintaining your dominant position, you're just asking your bottom or your submissive to top you. Like so many, um, so many people will look at you different.
Yeah. And yeah, we are getting close to the end here, so let's finish with this. Peter, thank you so much again for this topic and everything. Peter says maybe talk about the stereotypical dom image, corset, high heels, bitchy attitude, and how femme people see that. It's funny because I guess I would call myself femme, but I'm not a super feminine person. But I female, use she, her pronouns. I feel like I am on that side of the spectrum, although my gender expression tends to be a little more androgynous. But
yeah.
I see it as, at least years ago, as I was still kind of figuring things out and growing up as more of like the tomboy, which I have issues with that term because it's like acceptable when you're a kid, but when you start hitting puberty, you're supposed to be
As soon as you get your
men.
first period, you're supposed to give everything up.
I'll do a whole other talk actually about that. But so I grew up resisting the femme thing and looking down on it and being like, ugh, pink, like ugh, and obviously, doing a lot of the self work and educating myself. I'm more like, you know what? If you want to go for the corset, high heels, and bitchy attitude, you fucking own that shit. If you want to be pink and fluffy and sparkly, that's awesome. You do you.
Some of the scariest dominant women I've met have like this playful child attitude where they like you don't know if they're going to kill you. Or that's what it feels like. Because because they're conveying like toddler energy where you kind of get the impression that they don't understand the consequences of their actions. Like you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. But
shout out to Camille Vasquez.
Obviously, they know
what Johnny Depp's lawyers, who was like that, this tiny little petite, and she'd have this kind of like higher voice and like, "Thank you, Your Honor," and then it'd be like turned to Amber, and this and this and this, and it was like, "Oh shit, she's coming for you."
Yeah, so
it was very effective.
It's a really interesting dynamic when you get into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I also say if you're a femme top and you're wearing like denim, or you're like going for the like leather dyke, butch, mask, whatever, I say own that shit. That shit is also hot. Whatever it is that you are into, I just like make eye contact. Whatever it is you're into, there are other people that are into it.
Yeah.
Whatever quality you might have that might seem weird or obscure or even unappealing to you or others, someone, more than one, people are going to be into it.
You just have to find your people.
You just have to find your people, okay? So, and I know my energy isn't for everyone. I tend to get really silly and like, I've heard some people describe my sadism sometimes as like really gleeful.
Mm-hmm.
No argument there. I can get like giddy, and I'm like that when I watch horror movies sometimes. My mom will be like, "What the fuck's wrong with you?" Because I'm like actually on the edge of my seat, like squealing and clapping like I'm a kid at a magic show. So I can, that energy might not be for everyone. There are times I can get more sensual or primal, but again, that depends on the person and the energy. So I just say kind of overall, like, you do you dress whatever you feel good in. There are going to be people that are going to be into whatever your look is. Just try to be as authentic as possible. And it's hard to shed a lot of that cultural shit and media representation, because when you think dominatrix, your mind is probably immediately going to go to the tight rubber red and black and, you know, high heels, corset, bitchy attitude.
Leather.
And it's okay if that's you, but just ask yourself, like, is this me?
Yeah.
Try to shed some of that cultural stuff and really question and self-evaluate. Like, and if that is one night and it's not another night, that's okay too.
Yeah.
There are times when I'm like, oh, you know, I really want to go like more makeup, or I want to, oh, I'm feeling kind of leathery today, and I'll put more leather stuff on. Like, and no matter what your energy is, there's going to be somebody that comes to you, or somebody that's at least thinking like, damn.
Yeah.
And if you're a mask person that tends to be more soft spoken or quiet or reserved, own that. Someone's going to be attracted to it. If
they're just going to have a hard time finding you.
The real
personal
shit.
Experience.
Okay, but anyways, rant over. Do you have anything you want to say to Peter's comment? I mean, it wasn't how
specifically
femme people
directed
see
at
that.
you, but
so I'm just one. I don't speak for all femmes, but I feel that's my experience. Initially, I had problematic feelings that I've worked through, and now I'm at the point where I'm like, own it. Someone will be into it.
I mean, but a lot of the time too, it's like you view stuff like that as like just a gross stereotype. There's so many stereotypes out there, and you're just like, I see that, and I mean, there are people that are like that, but again, like not everyone's like that, and it's just kind of gross that's the assumption that is made.
I'm gonna try to make this quick because I really, really want to say something now.
Okay, you have like 5 minutes.
I know, and I want to talk about a toy I've been reviewing.
Oh, you don't have any time then.
I know. Okay. I was having this really fascinating discussion with somebody a while back, talking about when, say, I'm going to use the example of, say, I see, hypothetical, I see somebody that's like a femme, kind of dominant looking type, corset, high heels, bitchy attitude, and I go, ugh, no, actually, if that's what she's into, good for her. So where I had an instinctive first reaction that was the, ugh, like this again, and then the wait a minute, and I correct myself, and this is like quickly happens in your brain. And I know I'm not the only one, this is just an example, that has that kind of thing where you have that initial reaction and then you're like, wait, actually that's problematic. That first initial reaction is learned. If you do that, that instinctive reaction is conditioned. It's something that was learned by you. And that second thought is you working to untrain that. So try not to feel too hard on yourself or guilty if you have that instinctive about whatever it is when you see something out in public that gives you like a or like a negative reaction, and then you go, actually, wait, that's not right. Be encouraged by that. Don't feel guilty by that, because that instinctive is something learned, and that second one is you trying to correct that. Just keep trying to correct it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just had to say that. What do you have a
No.
Okay.
No.
You gonna go to bed now?
No.
Sleepy? Okay. I did want to talk about this toy.
I'll let you talk about your toy. I'm gonna go.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I don't need. But I don't.
You're so pretty. I love you. No, stay here. Don't. I want to talk about this toy. Have you heard me use it?
No.
Have you heard it?
No. I wear earplugs when I sleep. Here's the actual toy. You go where?
I'm gonna spank you with it. Get out of here. Say bye, Brandon.
Bye, Brandon.
I did try to keep him to stay. I tried my best without actually hurting it, but that would have become a scene. We do wrestle. Okay. Here's the toy, and I've been promising this forever. It was supposed to be for like masturbation month, but it's not May anymore. I don't know what day it is. This is the toy from adamandeve.com that I've been using. Oh, yeah, bye, Brandon. That was probably Mandy. Mandy says bye. He's not the type that goes around and says goodbye, everyone. He ghosts, and I totally respect that because that's what works for him. I'm trying to find my Here we are, adamandeve.com. Thank you. Okay, so I got this from adamandeve.com. It's called the Deep Love Thrusting Wand. So probably, does it look backwards? It might. It's got a 5-year warranty. Experience next level pleasure with this intense vibrating thruster. Its luxurious silicone shaft goes deeper than most thrusting toys dare. Ooh. A whopping 1.7 inches. Explore your deepest desires with 3 powerful thrusting speeds and more stuff. But this is it. This is what I really wanted to review because I don't know if you've noticed, I really like thrusting toys. If you're not wanting to hear me discuss something about what I like sexually, now would be a good time to turn off, like mom or someone who doesn't want to hear. Because I do really love thrusting toys. I love penetration, but it's something that is difficult to do to myself if I'm by myself. Masturbation, solo dates, all cool. It's me time. And it's difficult for me to do that to myself. So I keep trying to find a good thrusting toy and been reviewing them. So this one, I really liked it. I will say it definitely is deeper than probably any other toy that unless you know of others, like feel free to let me know. And if you work for any toy company, I'm happy to review. I didn't find it super loud, which is often a concern for a lot of people. It made a sound. Actually, I can turn it on. It's loud, but it's not like super loud. It also vibrates. So you turn this on. That's not loud for a thrusting toy that also vibrates. Let's turn on the vibration. Is this the vibration? Oh, I sped it up. This is as fast as it goes. So it doesn't go super fast, but it goes really deep. So I don't know if I'd want it to go super fast. I'm going to turn this off now. How do I turn it off? Okay, the thing I did find, actually, I want to put my hand on it now. Because I felt like when it was inside, yeah, there it is. I can almost feel the mechanics a little bit. So it made me worry that it would break easily. So I'm going to keep using it and I will keep you informed. But because I was like this, I could feel the mechanicness of it. And it almost made me wonder if it was really sturdy. I was scared. Like I was scared I was going to break it. So I'm going to keep using it. I haven't broken it. I'll let you know. But I found it surprisingly deep and that was quite nice actually. So that you can get for yourself if you like, or check out adamandeve.com. Promo code SWR for 50% as in half off almost any one item plus free shipping. So, and that was the Deep Love Thrusting Wand. Should I start rating them? I don't even know what I would rate it. I'm not good at rating things, but I would say overall pretty good. Not super loud, and it was really deep. I did enjoy it. Might want to see it have slightly faster ability, possibly. And I felt like a little bit worried I was going to break it because I could almost feel some of the mechanics. So maybe a thicker silicone, so I can't feel that as much. Other than that, thank you so much for joining today. Oh shit, I don't even have a topic for next week. I will announce one soon. If you have any requests for topics, please let me know. There was a topic that Mandy had suggested, and I don't remember what it was, but that's it. Either way, I will be live again next Monday, 10 a.m. PST, 1 p.m. EST. That's right. And I have one more show left where there are kids at school. I know we had a revolving door of kids being sick, so they were kind of around for like a month anyways, but yeah. I only have one more Monday next week, and then the kids are off next Wednesday for the summer, so there's that. I'll try. Let me know if you have any requests for topics. Other than that, have a good one. Don't be afraid to follow me or message me with any of your stuff on the social medias at Sex with Robin, spelled with an I. And you can find any of us on any of the Split Radio platforms and Spotify and SoundCloud. Don't forget, we are both Mandy and my shows from Split Radio are going automatically, or at least within the next hour or two. It's usually on Spotify and SoundCloud. Let me know if there's other platforms you want me to do. And also let me know if you're interested in having a show of any kind on Split Radio. Like, we specifically, Mandy and I created Split Radio to be accessible for creators and also for viewers, because places might charge you money to have this. And yes, I do pay for the Split Radio platform here, but I don't want to charge anyone else for coming and having, like, I want people to be able to come and do their own stuff, whether it's a live show or whether they just have videos or a podcast they want to share. Split stands for Sex Positive Lifestyle Inclusive Talk Radio. So as long as your content falls under that category, I realized I snorted because I'm getting excited, that it's sex positive and that it's inclusive, come join us. Be a part of Split Radio, because we want to expand and just to have something that's accessible and free for creators and for people watching. So we want to be inclusive. So having said that, I love y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Mwah. And do not forget, if you have your family or your loved ones don't support you for who you are, I am your family now. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Love you.
Butt plugs, dildos, polyam. The loose smith is a total sham. And should I